What's up guys, Nathan from High Level Performance, and this week I'm going to talk to you about different sets and rep ranges depending on the goals of your training. Okay, so quite a common theme. People have a lack of knowledge in terms of what is the right amount of sets and reps to get the desired outcome we want. Okay, so depending on where you're at in your training, here are some common goals of training. So if I'm working with somebody who's new to the gym, so if I'm trying to just teach them to learn a new movement, I generally follow sets of 2 to 3. We want to go higher repetitions because we want to reproduce that movement so that we can get the motor pattern down. Okay, so first off, it's essential we're getting the right movement. All right, and then it's also, once we've got the right movement, we want to be doing it repetitively. Okay, as in all sports, deliberate practice and doing something often is how we master it. We want a reasonably low load when we're learning this new movement. Okay, so it takes away that stress and stimulus and obviously possible injury. Okay, so keep the weight low, the load low, so that we're able to replicate the movement without putting too much stress through the system initially. Rest, as we've got a low load and we're focusing on the movement and technique, we shouldn't need too much rest time. And tempo, here we don't want to be going too explosive. Okay, so 2-1-2, basically that means let's say for example we are teaching a squat. We're starting at the top position, so that means 2 seconds down, pause for 1 second, 2 seconds back up. Okay, for our endurance athlete, we are generally going to be wanting to do a lot higher repetitions. So yeah, if we're doing our sort of circuit-based training, we're trying to work quite high reps, anywhere from sort of 15 reps upwards, and we're not going to be doing many sets there. Okay, so we're not going to be doing 5 sets of 15, 20. All right, generally the rep range will be fairly low. A set range will be low, but our rep range is high. We want to be working again with a low load, so anywhere below 50% really, otherwise we're not going to be able to hit the number of repetitions that we want. And our rest wants to be shorter. Okay, we're looking at developing our aerobic / slightly into the anaerobic system. All right, but mainly aerobic, so we want a short recovery period and we want to be able to replicate these bursts, so we're not getting that much rest time. Tempo's kind of non-existent here. It's going to be more just a steady state, steady pace. These sort of activities generally, if we're looking at the gym, it's going to be more like our so circuit sort of based stuff. It might be squats, but it would be body weight squats over a longer period, or it really depends on the individual and your current strength level. Next one, hypertrophy. So this is for our individual who their main focus is they want to put on some size. Okay, they're not that bothered about the functional strength, or they're not bothered about max strength. They just want to more looking at developing a bit of size and putting mass on. So for that individual, we're looking for between 3 to 5 sets and between 6 to 12 reps. Okay, quite a variation here, 6 to 12, depending on whether our focus is more towards hypertrophy and strength, or we're just purely focusing more on the size. Okay, so as you know, it's going to be quite high volume that we're looking at overall. So if we're doing 3 sets, if we were doing 3 sets of 12, we're looking at up to 36 reps there. Okay, which is quite a lot of repetitions. Or even if we're working up to 5 sets of 12, 60 reps, that's quite a lot of repetitions in our workout. We want to be working between 70 to 80% roughly of our 1RM, so if we know what our maximum is. Obviously, if we're working towards 80%, then we're probably going to be working more towards this 6 to 8 rep range. Okay, so say for example, you can bench 100 kilograms. If you're going to be working at 80 kilograms on the bar, all right, we're probably looking between 6 to 8 reps. All right, whereas if we were working 70 kg on the bar, we might work more towards our 10 to 12 in the rep range. Our rest time there wants to be shorter, okay, because we're not focusing, we're not going to get as much central nervous system fatigue. We're not working towards max strength and power, and therefore we need less recovery time. So anywhere between 60 to 90 seconds between your sets. Tempo, this is extremely important. So looking at hypertrophy, we want greater time under tension, okay, which means a nice slow controlled tempo. So now in our squat, we're looking for a nice 3 seconds on the way down, pause for that second, and then our drive up. Okay, so we're getting a lot more. That's a total, obviously each rep we're getting about 7 seconds time under tension, which is very important for stimulating muscle growth. Next step is our strength. Okay, so for our individual who wants to focus more on our strength, we're looking again but anywhere between 3 to 5, probably more likely a higher in terms of our rep range on number of sets, particularly if we're working closer to the lower end of our rep range. So if we're only working 2 reps, 3 reps, then we're probably going to want to work higher in terms of our sets to allow us to get a decent amount of overall volume. If we were just doing 3 sets of 1 or 3 sets of 2, we are going to be stressing strength a lot, but we're not going to be able to get much volume at all in our session. Anywhere realistically above 85% here, so 85 all the way up to 100%. I wouldn't recommend doing many sessions a week where you're working at 100%. Okay, it's going to really destroy the central nervous system. It might be good maybe once a week maximum, or not even that often, every couple of fortnights, testing and working towards that. A lot longer recovery here, so 2 to 3 minutes, so we're letting our ATP system get our phosphocreatine system get that recovery in. Okay, something that people miss out a lot here is if we're trying to develop strength, then we need that rest. Okay, you're not, say for example, doing chin-ups. If you can do 3 or 4 pull-ups or chin-ups and then you rest for only 1 minute and try and do it again, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to get that same number of reps. Okay, but if, let's say for example, you give it 3 minutes, you're giving your body more time to recover, and therefore we should be able to get close to that 3 or 4 reps again, which means that we're getting a greater emphasis on developing strength rather than endurance. On strength, time under tension, we're not looking for a lot of time under tension, we just want to get that weight moving. So again, on here, say for example our squat, 1 second down, no pause, and then we're looking to drive back up. Okay, so no time, not looking for slow eccentric, slow or pause, we're just looking to get down and drive that weight up, particularly when there's a lot of weight on the bar. We're not going to be hanging around for long periods. Finally, if we're looking to develop explosive power, if we want to be developing explosive power, okay, anywhere from between 4 to 8 sets. Again, low rep ranges here because we're looking for, particularly we're looking at developing maximal power output. Okay, so for example, if you did 100 meters at absolute maximal intensity, all right, you're not going to be able to do reps of that. You do 1 rep, then you will get your rest, and then you will come back and do another set. If, for example, we're looking at, say, explosive med ball power exercises, we might be able to do higher repetitions. So the time that we're working for might still be around 10 to 15 seconds. We're not going to be able to work maximally for longer than that, but we might be able to do 4 repetitions in that time. Okay, working explosive. Here the load can vary quite significantly, so anywhere between, I've put 30 to 70%, so it depends on the exercise that we're doing. Could include, so if we're doing stuff like Olympic weightlifting, that's going to be working more towards 70% of our overall load. Okay, so there's a high load there, we're not going to be moving as fast as if we were doing a body weight movement, and we're still not going to be doing many reps, but the load's higher. Compared to another way we might develop explosive power is through body weight exercise. Okay, so or add in, say, a weight vest if we're competent at the push-up, add in a slight resistance, and that's giving us a little bit more resistance to develop our power. Here, when we're working for that absolute maximal power, we want a long rest period. Okay, ideally between 3 to 5 minutes. So this applies to also training for other sports. So if we're looking at sprint training for team sports, okay, if we're really looking to develop that max speed and max power, then we don't want to be doing reps back to back to back. Okay, so if you're doing, say, a 10-second maximal acceleration sprint, you want to be giving yourself at least 50 seconds plus recovery after each sprint. Okay, not 10 seconds walk back, so you're getting enough recovery in. Otherwise it becomes that we're ending up working endurance or power endurance and not maximal power. Again, on here, XOX, which simply means, okay, down as fast as possible, no pause, up as fast as possible. Okay, so we want every movement to be as explosive as possible there. If you're doing an exercise and working maximally, so let's say for example doing explosive push-ups, you will quickly notice when your power rate drops. As soon as that power begins to drop, you should stop the exercise, rest, and then save your energy for the next one. Okay, unless you want to focus on power endurance, that's where you would continue for a longer period. Okay, so I hope that helps, guys, in terms of classifying your training depending on the goal that you're working on, both for coaches and athletes. This can be applied to obviously strength training, but also carried into team sports, looking at acceleration, speed training, etc. Okay, if you've got any questions, then shoot me up. High level performance, okay, building better athletes and building better people. If you've got any questions, shoot me up.